This course is designed for users of web-based applications, specifically those web applications that have been created with PHP and MySQL. Lynda.com members have many courses available that teach them how to work with these applications, either as developers who want to program with PHP or as users of open source applications, such as WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, and more. This course is specifically designed so you can easily follow along with the Lynda.com courses that teach all of these subjects. If your goal is to follow along with the Lynda.com course, you'll want to find out what your instructor is using in their videos. Different instructors prefer different development environments. Some prefer to work on Windows, some on Mac, and some on Linux. And within those environments, different instructors prefer to work with either individual software components or one of the popular pre-built software bundles. To most effectively follow along with the Lynda.com course, I recommend setting up the same environment as the instructor is using. That's why we're covering so many different approaches for setting up an Apache, MySQL, and PHP environment on your local computer. Once you've finished watching Lynda.com courses, you might move on to your own work, either as a developer or as a content management system administrator. Then you should choose the environment that works best for you. The best approach is to mimic your production server environment. So for example, if you're working on a production server that uses Apache 2.4 and PHP 5.5, put together a software bundle on your own local system that uses those same software versions. That will minimize the surprises you might find when you deploy your software to your production servers. So again, this course is not just for developers. It's for anyone who needs to set up a local environment that includes Apache, MySQL, and PHP. This course is accompanied by exercise files that you can use to follow along on your own computer. I've copied the exercise files to my desktop, but you can place them anywhere on your hard disk. The exercise files for this course are organized by software product. There's one subfolder for each of the components of an AMP stack, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, and one subfolder for PHP-MyAdmin. The Apache folder contains a single file, Apache PHP config, and I'll show you how to use this during the course to connect Apache and PHP together when you're working on Microsoft Windows. If you're working on Mac, you won't need this file because all the code you need is already in the files. You just have to remove a couple of comment characters. And I'll show you how to do that as well. The MySQL folder contains two files. ExploreCalifornia.sql is an SQL query script. It creates tables named admin, explorers, packages, and so on. Now, I'm not actually actively using this script in the course, but it's a great script to use if you just want to quickly create a database and do some testing with it. To use this file, create a new database, say in PHP-MyAdmin, then go to a query screen and copy and paste this code into the query screen and execute it, and you'll have an instant database to work with. The other file in this folder is called MySQL uninstall on Mac. Uninstalling MySQL on Mac OS X is a little bit complex. Oracle doesn't provide an uninstall application on Mac, so instead you have to go to Terminal and execute all of these commands. I'll show you how to use this file when it's time. The PHP folder contains a single file named phpinfo.php, and it has just a single command, phpinfo. This command outputs information to the browser about the current PHP installation, the version, important folders and files, and so on. In some of the videos in this course, I just copy this file into place for testing, and in some other videos, I create this code from scratch. But this file is here if you need it. Because it's just a PHP script, it'll work on all operating systems that support PHP. And finally, phpMyAdmin includes a single file named config.inc.php. This is an example of how to set up a simple set of credentials using phpMyAdmin. It defines a single server and assigns the user and password. I have a very easy to guess password here named password, but if you choose a different password, you can put your password in here. There's also an important configuration item here that will let you delete or drop databases from within phpMyAdmin. In some phpMyAdmin installations, you'll already have this capability. But if you go into the operations pane in phpMyAdmin and you don't see the ability to drop or delete a database, adding this line of configuration will add it back in. I'll show you how to use this file in the chapter on installing and using phpMyAdmin. So those are the exercise files. Because we update this course regularly, every once in a while you'll see that new exercise files have been added here, but I'll describe what they are and how to use them in the videos where I demonstrate their use. This course, Installing Apache, MySQL, and PHP, was originally released in early 2011, over 3 years ago. It's been updated regularly since then to keep up with changes in the Apache, PHP, and MySQL versions, but also with the software bundles that keep on evolving. This version of the course, however, has been created from scratch. The goal is to cover all the latest versions of all the software, including the individual components and the popular bundles. Here are some things that have changed since the last update to this course. Apple released the latest version of Mac OS X, Yosemite, version 10.10. And this new version of the operating system includes Apache 2.4 and PHP 5.5. There are also some interesting changes in how you configure Apache and PHP on Yosemite when you compare it to the previous version of the operating system. And I'll talk about all those during the course. Here are some changes that have happened in some of the popular bundles. MAMP has a new version on Mac that now supports Nginx. Nginx is an HTTP server that you can use instead of Apache. In these videos, I'll still focus on Apache, but I'll point out some issues that the inclusion of Nginx can cause you. And surprisingly, MAMP now has a distribution available for Microsoft Windows. MAMP has always been a Mac-only bundle. The M in MAMP stood for Mac, but now they're telling us that MAMP stands for My Apache, MySQL, and PHP. If you're a Windows user, you might want to check out this bundle and see if you like it better than some of the other bundles, such as WAMP Server, Bitnami, or XAMPP. And XAMPP itself is now distributed by Bitnami. This can be a little confusing. XAMPP has very powerful software bundles that include software components in addition to Apache, MySQL, and PHP. And it's always had special features that let you manage security on your servers and take care of other advanced tasks. The Bitnami components, on the other hand, have been much more slender, but they have the benefit of having add-ons that let you add components such as WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, and other open-source PHP applications. The XAMPP distributions and the Bitnami distributions are still different from each other, but they're all now distributed by Bitnami. So choose the distribution you want based on the features, but just know you'll be seeing the Bitnami name. Here are the operating system versions that I'm recording on. On Mac, I'm working with the latest, Yosemite, OS X version 10.10. On Windows, I'm on 8.1. And for the new content that shows how to get started with AMP stacks on Linux, I'm using Ubuntu Linux 14.04. This isn't the latest Canary build of Ubuntu Linux. A Canary build is the version that's put out there that they're not promising long-term support for. But as of the time of recording, Ubuntu Linux 14.04 was the latest version that long-term support is promised for a period of time. So welcome to this brand new version of the course, installing Apache, MySQL, and PHP. As before, our goal is to keep our eyes on the AMP world, and as new versions of the core components are released or the software bundles are updated, we'll update the course.